if you thought week 1 was going to be intense, you might as well think you're camping, because week 2 is also going to be intense. What is up, fans? I hope you got that subtle dad joke in the intro. And if you didn't, just think about it. But we are looking at the Miami Dolphins heading to New England to take on the Patriots. Week 2 primetime game, Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a good one. I got a lot to talk about with this one. Obviously, it's a division rival. It's the New England Patriots. We want to win this game. We want to win every game. But there is a little bit more to this game than just, hey, we're facing the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. So there's a lot we got to talk about. Obviously, we're going to go over the injury reports. We have the new breakdown, which we couldn't do last week because there was no stats. But now that we have stats, I can give you the breakdown of the Dolphins offense versus the Patriots defense, and the Patriots offense versus the Dolphins defense. Then we're going to look at the lineups, 5 things, and I'm going to give you my predictions. So without further ado, let's jump into this Mamma Jam, and let's look at the injury report. We're going to look at the Patriots first. The Patriots injury report has some some interesting people on there. So Trent Brown and Sidney Sow, who is their offensive lineman, 2 supposedly tackles. Trent Brown is their left tackle, and I think Sidney Sow is their other tackle. They didn't practice for 2 straight days. They're in concussion protocol. Most likely aren't going to play against the Dolphins. Then you have their center, David Andrews. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. He's been limited. You have Keyshawn Boutte, I think that's how I pronounce his name. I apologize. He is dealing with a hamstring. He is limited. Then you have Jonathan Jones popped up on the injury report yesterday. Again, I'm recording this Thursday night. He was limited with an ankle. Mike Onwenu, he was limited. Devontae Parker, limited. No surprise there. And Cole Strange, limited. The whole entire New England Patriots offensive line was on the injury report. 2 of them didn't practice. Everyone else was limited with some injuries. And then we look at the Miami Dolphins injury report, and it's not as bad. Teron Armstead comes back. He was non-contact Wednesday. Yesterday, he took the red jersey off. Elijah Campbell, limited. Julian Hill, limited. And then full practice for everyone. So, again, if I were to do what I normally would do, your Dolphins injury report kind of looks like that, which is much better than we had a week ago. Will Teron Armstead play? Kendall Lamb actually did pretty well last week, so if he does, fantastic. That means he's 100%. There's no worry about a setback. But if he's like 80%, I say put Kendall Lamb back out there. I think Kendall Lamb did pretty well. There's no need to rush Teron Armstead and aggravate any type of potential injury. If he's if he's 80%, say, and we're about to go play in the playoffs, he's going to play. Like, I think he would play on Sunday. But we don't really need him to because of how well Kendall Lamb played last week. So, again, there's no need to rush him back and potentially aggravate one of his injuries if that is the case. If not, and he's 100%, throw him out there. Why not? Let's see what he can do. So that's your injury report. Again, the Patriots are dealing with a lot. Their whole entire starting offensive line is banged up, especially 2 of their tackles did not participate because they're in concussion protocol. Very, very interesting to see there and to see who actually plays on Sunday night. Being that it is Sunday night, though, they could come out of concussion protocol. I think they have to come out by tomorrow to be able to play. Comment below. Let me know. Now we're going to look at the breakdown. And essentially the breakdown, the way it works is I'm going to give you the rankings of the Dolphins offense versus their defense and then vice versa. This you could take with a grain of salt because it's from week 1. You kind of get more of an idea, again, of what your team is by week 4 or 5. You get a better sample size of statistics. Like the Dolphins statistics in some areas are hot garbage, but that's because they had one bad game. So I'm still going to talk about it, but we'll go from there. So for the Dolphins, their offense, points, they're third in the NFL. They scored a ton of points against the Chargers. And the Patriots defense is 24th. They gave up some points against the Eagles. That bodes well for the Dolphins. Yards, the Dolphins offense is first in the NFL in yards because they torched the Chargers defense. The Patriots are ninth in allowing yards, which is pretty good. So again, that's a good matchup there. Pass offense, Dolphins are number one, obviously. Pass defense, the Patriots are 10th. Rushing offense, the Dolphins are 27th. They barely ran the ball. And the Patriots defense are actually 18th against the run. I think that also had to do with a lot of Jalen Hurts getting some yardage with his legs. Then when it comes to third down conversions, the Dolphins were 9th in the NFL with 44.4% of third downs converted. On the flip side, the Patriots defense were 10th in the NFL on defense, only allowing 30.8% of third downs converted, which is, again, good battle. Red zone, the Dolphins were 12th in the NFL. 60% of the time they got in that red zone, they scored some type of points, I think it is. And the Patriots defense are 10th in the NFL. They only allow 50% of red zone trips, adding up to points. And then we flip it. The Dolphins defense, again, these stats are a little skewed because it was one game and it was a bad game by the defense. And we'll talk about that. But the Dolphins defense, when it comes to points, is 29th. The Patriots offense is 15th. Dolphins have to do a better job of stopping anything. And we'll get more to that in 2 seconds. The yards, the Dolphins are 31st. Garbage. The Patriots offense is 5th. Not bad. Passing, Patriots offense is 4th in the NFL. The Dolphins defense is 19th. Not as bad, but mostly because the Chargers barely threw the ball. When it comes to rushing defense, though, rushing offense, the Patriots were 23rd. Again, they went up against the Eagles, who have a very good rush defense. If you could tell from last night against the Vikings. The Dolphins are 32nd. Are you surprised by that? Because I'm not. They ran all over us. Then when it comes to third down conversions, the Dolphins were 31st, allowing 60% of third downs to be converted. They didn't get off the field when they needed to. And the Patriots were 18th, converting 33.3% of their third downs. And then when it comes to red zone, the Dolphins defense was 27th, allowing 80% of red zone trips to be scored upon. And the Patriots offense was 12th. They got down there, and 60% of the time, they scored some points. So that is the breakdown there, I think, and especially when we look at the player versus player situation. I think this is a good matchup, but I do think if the Dolphins defense, again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, doesn't get their stuff together, it's going to be another situation where we got to hope that the offense continues to score. But again, to put that pressure on the offense, kind of not fair. But let's jump into the PFF, and we're going to look at each of the teams. Okay, so as you can see here, I got some graphics done, so it looks a little fancier. This is nice, right? A little fancier. So we're looking at the Dolphins offense versus the Patriots defense. Austin Jackson, we'll look at the offensive line versus their defensive line again. Is Teron Armstead playing or not? We will see. Isaiah Wynn is now the official starter. All around, I think the Miami Dolphins offensive line, again, if Armstead doesn't play, and it is Kendall Lamb, I think they did very well against a very good defense with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. You are facing now a very good defensive front with Judon, Barmore, Uchi. These guys are very good rushing after the quarterback. But again, I think the Dolphins offensive line can hold, and I think Tua is very good and very quick at getting the ball out. Now, when it comes to our receivers versus their corners, I think that's where the Dolphins have the upper hand. Now, again, you see Tua's here, Hill's here, he's number 1. You see Jalen Waddle's 15. Again, didn't get much time. He is still banged up, so they weren't force-feeding him the ball. Also, Tyreek Hill got open. Fun fact, he was only on 66% of the snaps. So a lot of people thought we were force feed. No, the man was just getting open, burning people. So I think our wide receiving core with Hill, Barrios, Waddle, and even Craycraft is going to give the corners of the Patriots a little bit of a fit, right? Like you got Jones, And you got the rookie Gonzalez. I think the rookie Gonzalez is going to do well, but I think everyone else is kind of struggle there. Then you have Peppers, their safety, Duggar, and then you have their linebackers and Bentley and Mapu. We'll see how the run game goes, right? We'll see how that happens if they stick with it. We'll see how the game goes, because I noticed that I wanted them to run the ball more, and we'll get to that, but it seemed like the better option was we were making big plays in the passing game. And then an unsung hero, Durham Smythe. I was on Reason's channel before the season started, and under the radar player, a lot of people, one of the questions he asked the panel, and I picked Durham Smythe. I thought Durham Smythe was going to have a not a big season, but a productive season for us, and I saw him as an Anthony Fasano type. And against the Chargers, he did. And I think this is another game where he can be used. Him and Alec Ingle can be used in certain situations to get us those first downs, to get us those, might be 3rd and 8. Boom, you drop it off to these guys and then get the first downs for us. Now let's flip it. So now you see the Dolphins defense. And again, there's a lot of orange and it's not as great, right? Again, it's week 1. You still have Javon Holland 4th in the safeties, but it's not great. And then you flip it, and again, this whole entire offensive line is on their injured, my brain, report. Brown, concussion, a lot of guys dealing with hamstrings, concussions, all that stuff. Mac Jones, Stevenson, their wide receivers, again, the Patriot wide receivers don't really scare me, and I do think Xavier Howard, Kader Kohu, and Eli Apple, and even Elliott and Holland can take care of the wide receivers. To me, the thing that scares me the most is the running game with Stevenson. Can our front finally do their thing? Again, I'm getting ahead of myself in the 5 things. But to me, that's where the matchup that scares me the most is. They're going to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hands, and they're going to give it to Stevenson. Because I honestly think that Vic Fangio is going to try to get into Mac Jones' hand. But that's the matchup with player versus player. Now let's get into the 5 things the Dolphins need to do if they want to win this game. Here are the 5 things, and again, they're in no particular order, not like, hey, this is the most important to least important. It's just I was thinking of the team that we're facing, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, and I started jotting down some things that I was like, hey, we need to do this if we want to win the game. And number 1 on the list, and again, to me, it's not the number 1, but actually it kind of is. You got to stop the flip and run. I was just talking about it, and that's why I was like, hey, shut up, Doug, and get into your 5 things. Because they're going to try to take the ball out of Mac Jones' hand. They're not going to let Vic Fangio scheme up and confuse and use his zone schemes and shift and all that stuff to confuse Mac Jones. Also, and this is going to kind of coincide with my number 2, but your offensive line is incredibly banged up. So they don't want to put Mac Jones in situations where he's going to drop back. So they're going to run the ball. The Patriots are known. They got a very good running back in Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott. They're going to try to run the ball. We need Christian Wilkins, Sealer to become the guys that we thought they were. We need David Long Jr. to become the guy we saw in training camp and preseason, and we need to stop the run. With the linebacking core last week, a lot of it was Baker was having a hard time disengaging with his blocks, and when I saw David Long Jr., he was missing the gap, and then they had AVG out there as well. The linebackers need to do better at stopping the run, but the guys up front also need to do better at shedding the blocks. Got to stop the run. We cannot have a repeat of what happened last week because the Chargers did whatever they wanted to. We were lucky that the offense was so on fire that we won that game, because if not, that Chargers team was just running all. If it came down to we needed to get the ball back and kick a field goal, so it's a minute 30 left, we have 3 timeouts, we have to stop them from getting a first, I don't think we would have done it. I think the Chargers would have ran the ball 3 times, got the first down, game over. So we got lucky the way it fell. Got to stop the run. Now, the number 2 thing on this list, and again, it coincides, we got to get pressure. We got pressure on Herbert when it count. We sent the blitz with Kader Kohu. On 3rd down, it helped. 3rd and 4th down to win the game, he sent the blitz. We got the sacks. Those are your 3 sacks in the game. Other than that, when he did some play action and stood there, he had all the time in the world. I don't want it to be true, but Bradley Chubb, you got to do more, my man, because Jalen Phillips is like, he's just getting there. Like, if you look at his pressure percentage, it's super high, but he's got to finish. That could be fine and dandy. You got to finish. And Bradley Chubb, show why you were a high draft pick and show why the Dolphins traded for you. We need to get pressure, especially against this offensive line where you got 2 players on concussion protocol and the other 3 are banged up with hamstring injuries. You have to take advantage of this banged up offensive line. The Patriots always have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You're going up against them right now when they are extremely banged up. Mac Jones isn't a fluid, mobile quarterback. You get pressure on him, you get him down, he's going to make mistakes, he's going to throw interceptions. That's what you need. You need to put them in second and third and longs and force him to make mistakes. We need to pressure him. Third thing on this list, if the Dolphins want to beat the Patriots, we got to run the ball. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about before. I kind of understood why we didn't as much against the Chargers, because it was working so well against the Chargers. Like, there was a few times we ran the ball and Raheem Mostert got a few chunk yardage plays and it was good. But every time, there's a reason Tua threw for 466 yards, and it wasn't because of the volume of passes he attempted. It was because they were so open. Like, the Chargers defense and their secondary had no answer. The pressure wasn't getting to Tua, and if it was, he was getting the ball out quick enough. They could not stop the Dolphins' pass game. So you think to yourself, why run it? If they can't stop us, why stop doing it? It's like the Chargers when they, for a whole drive, I think they ran it and they only threw it twice. Because if they can't stop it, why stop doing it? So I get it. But I would like some, a little bit more even keel, right? Not 50 attempts in passing and 15 in running, Bring it down. Make it like 40 and 25. You know what I'm saying? Just so the play action will work and just so we're not overexerting Tua. It's week 2. So let's run the ball, please, for the love of God, until we get another running back on the team. But yeah, run the ball, please, for the love of God. Number 4, we need some continuation of the elite Tua Tagovailoa, because that man was on against the Chargers. That man was telling people to shut it. And then he literally told people to shut it. I think 466 shows that I can throw the deep ball. Love it. Salty Tua, my favorite type of Tua. I put that on my chips with vinegar. Salty Tua and vinegar chips, my favorite type of chips. Keep playing like that, because for a fact they're still out there naysaying. So we need that continuation of that elite Tua. We need that. We need him to come out and say, oh, you thought it was just because the Chargers defense was hot garbage, or you thought it was because it was just week 1? No, I'll do it week 2. And then I'll do it week 3, and I'll do it week 4. I'm here now. Show them that you're here to stay. Don't show it was a one deal situation and then you're going to have an off week and then no, you're back, and stay that consistent elite Tua and shut them up. And then the 5th and final thing I have on this list of things the Dolphins need to do if they want to beat the Patriots, no turnovers. Now, this is a duh one, right? Duh, Doug. That's like for any... But again, I'm worried that this is going to be a situation where our defense can't stop their offense, whether it's the run game. I think it's going to be the run game. And the Dolphins offense is going to be scoring, right? Because in my God's honest opinion, if the Dolphins wouldn't have fumbled on the, 3-yard line, and if Tua didn't throw that interception, those 2 plays would have turned into points, and I don't think the Chargers would have had enough time or been able to match it. We would have been up by more points, because at some point we were up by 3, and then they would kick a field goal, they would tie. We'd be up by 4, they'd score a touchdown, they'd be up by 3. See what I'm saying? It was always 1 point difference, back and forth, back and forth. But if we didn't turn that ball over, because when we threw the interception, they got nothing off of it. That's the series where we blitzed Cater and they punted it, right? Imagine we scored there and we still blitzed Cater and forced the punt. Then all of a sudden we're up by more, score again. Then the fumble, you know what I'm saying? It would have been 7-7 instead of, down by a point and having to catch up. The turnovers mattered. So if we can just cut it out, and especially in a game where I'm not so confident in the defense, it's incredibly important that you don't turn the ball over, because then it's not a nail biter and we could sit back and watch on, primetime TV us beat the Patriots. Those are my 5 things I have that the Dolphins need to do if they want to beat the New England Patriots. Now we get to my prediction. Now, before we get to that, I want to talk about the defense. It coincides with my prediction. Vic Fangio came out himself and he was very critical of himself, as he should have been, about the defense. He came out and said, that's mainly my fault. I did not have the guys ready to perform the way I thought they could. He wasn't saying it like that. I'm trying not to burp. I didn't do a good job in preparing them. And I like that because he is not blaming anyone else. He's taking the blame. Because again, I said this during the live stream. He's up in the booth. He can see what the offense is going to do and call the perfect defensive play to stop it. But if the guys don't perform, like Mike McDaniel said, a lot of times they were doing their own thing instead of doing what they were supposed to do. It's not going to work. And that is what he said in the last sentence. I didn't do a good job in preparing them. So he took the blame in that. I'm calling the plays. You're not doing the right thing. That also comes back to me because I should prepare you, or I should be on you more to do the right thing. He also talks about the fact that they were focusing a lot on Mike Williams. And Mike McDaniel came and said, I think there was a lot of people I think there was a lot of people with the right motivation. They were trying to independently make plays and not thinking about technique and fundamentals. So that's been a message to them, which is my message to all players. So again, they were trying to independently make plays and not thinking about technique or fundamentals. So again, they were trying to just, it was probably a few of the runs that I broke down on the film, especially the Eckler long run, where David Long Jr. hit the wrong gap. He was probably trying to over pursue to make the play, and he, instead of waiting to see where Eckler was going, he over pursued. There's that. And then this is from Omar Kelly saying reinforcements coming on defense. This is where a second NFL coach comes in and takes ownership for a unit struggling, especially when your resume is as extensive as Fangio's is. But Brian Flores did it quite often during his run as Miami Dolphins head coach, and so did Joe Philbin and various other head coaches and coordinators. Falling on the sword is what coaches do in front of the media, but behind the schemes, they provide cut-ups of players playing hero ball, spotlighting players not fulfilling their assignment, which messes with the integrity of the defense. Some players blame the struggling stopping the run on the defenders' need to adjust to Fangio's scheme, which the Dolphins have spent 6 months learning, but Fangio isn't buying that. That's a convenient narrative, Fangio said. We should be adjusted. I got to adjust too. And now what best fits our players moving forward, and that could change from week to week. He says what also could change is the personnel Miami uses in base defensive package, which could be enhanced by better utilizing personnel. Brandon Jones is a 3-year starter, and the Dolphins expect David Long Jr., one of the team's top free agents additions this offseason, to play more than a handful of plays. Last week, Andrew Van Ginkel, a converted outside linebacker, replaced Long as a nickel linebacker paired with Jerome Baker. That decision will be a game-time decision for Miami's coaches. So essentially, what Omar's saying there is expect change. You're looking at Vic Fangio, and if you think he's sitting back and he is not ripping into them because of that defensive performance, he is and it is well known and has been talked about and touted about all over, that Vic Fangio is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL. And that is what he put on the field. Now, again, it could be the player's fault or it could be his fault, but that's his product on the field. You think he's not going back and saying, we're fixing that? We're fixing that real quick. Because no. So, again, this is coinciding with my prediction because I give you spiels, but then I'm feeling confident that as time goes on, this defense is going to get better and better, and Fangio is going to fix the mistakes because that's what Fangio does. That's on the defensive side. Also, Tua Tagovailoa. I don't like talking about this stat because I'm very superstitious and I don't like talking about it. But Tua has a certain record against the Patriots that is very impressive, and that's all I'm going to say. He needs to build off of that. But I also talked about that. I also talked about continuing elite Tua, where build off of what you did last week. Continue to do what you do and take advantage of the fact that you have the players you have. He played incredibly smart football. He made some dumb mistakes, but he bounced back and played incredibly smart football. He threw the ball away. He threw the ball at the feet of the receivers, played smart in certain situations, took off running to get the yardage that we needed to. We need to continue to see that. Same thing with Mike McDaniel. I think he coached a better game, and I think he outcoached Staley and the Chargers, and he did very well. So we need to continue to see that, especially in this game. Now, week 1 was a game that was pivotal because it's a revenge game for Tua. He's facing a team that made him look horrible on national TV. Can he get revenge? And can the Dolphins go on the West Coast and start 1-0? Well, Tua got his revenge and some. Now it's week 2. Week 2 is about going up against a division rival on prime time, but also showing that it wasn't a fluke what we did last week, and that everyone having the Dolphins top 5 in their power ranking is justified. So the Dolphins need to win this one. And I have the Dolphins winning this one 28-17. I think they win by 11, and I think that the defense wakes up and we get the stops we need to, especially with the offensive line of the Patriots being as banged up as they are. So again, I have the Dolphins winning 28-17. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys on Sunday the game starts at 8:20, so I'll probably be live at like 8 o'clock. But like usual, stay classy. My friends out.